Hello, this is PamelaTopjian, and today I would like to talk a little bit about how to manage triggers. So, triggers are not always a bad thing. Triggers can be something that reminds you to do something, like I need to be triggered or reminded, or something that shows me, um, reminds me to do something or reminds me of an event or something. So a trigger is not always a bad thing. However, we think of it as something bad because it usually is an emotional response that we have. It's like a reaction instead of something that we're doing on purpose. It just kind of hits us all of a sudden, and we have an emotional reaction. And sometimes that can lead to the flight, freeze, one of those, um, if we're triggered. And it can be anything, right? Like a song in a grocery store or a scent that you get out of nowhere. And again, talking about them not always being bad, a trigger can also be, a scent that reminds me of my grandma or something like that. Or, if in childhood, some of your best memories are baking cookies or bread with your mother or something, and then you have that scent or you smell that somewhere, and it can bring about a nice feeling. And that is also considered a trigger. But so one of the ways is just recognizing what they are before they happen, so that you're not caught off guard. Just reflect on some situations, sensations, or comments that that are triggering to you. A lot of times in relationships, if we've had a toxic or abusive relationship in the past, and then we are in a new relationship or even just with friends, something is said to us that maybe our ex or the person that was, toxic to us, used to say to us. And it just really catches you off guard and all of a sudden puts you in a fight or fright or flight. That's the word. Flight, fright, or freeze, flight. Anyway, it puts you in in that knee-jerk reaction response without even realizing that it was really from another person that used to say that to you, and it really just triggered you back to that negative memory. So think about those things and share openly, with your partner and your friends, especially if they're new, someone that didn't know you before. But having the awareness can help you anticipate triggers, help you understand the reactions that you're having, um, rather than, like I said, you're just reacting in a knee-jerk way. Also, just pausing and breathing. Now, I know that this sounds so, sort of hokey and, just we always tell people breathe, just breathe, well, we're living, we're breathing, right? But, just to take pause and breathe, if say again, I'll use the example of being in a grocery store and a song comes on and it's a memory, it brings about a memory of something that's triggering you and not a very good thing. So if you're all of a sudden emotional and you're not even sure why, then just like, oh, notice, what is it? Was that a scent? Is it the song? What is it that's making me feel this way? And just give yourself that grace and give yourself that moment, allow yourself to stop and take a breath and take a pause, right? Just give yourself a moment. And that'll help you to think more clearly and help you to sort of recognize what's going on a little easier. So another thing is just, and this goes along with pausing and breathing, is practice self-compassion, having self-love for yourself, compassion for yourself, and self-respect, right? Um, you know, it's normal a lot of times, people feel very overwhelmed and out of control when you are having triggers that, almost constantly come up, or they come up a lot. Or even if they don't come up a lot, when one does, then, we want to criticize ourselves. And especially if we feel like we've healed from something, like, oh my gosh, why is that still happening to me? Why is that still affecting me? If maybe you hear a name, um, or something on social media, or, whatever it is, there's all kinds of things that can be triggering. But don't beat yourself up about it. Again, give yourself that grace. Know that it's perfectly normal. These things have been, really anchored deep within us. So give yourself that grace and some self-compassion. And also, it's a great opportunity to realize that you might need help around that issue. So, the triggers can really be a way to help you take more control over your healing journey because it points in the direction of what needs to be healed. What do you still need to work on? Even if you've done a lot of self-healing and um, a lot of self-discovery and on a healing journey, even if you've done a lot of that, something can catch you off guard. And it's really good to say, oh, okay, thank you. I know that I still need some work done in that area. So it can point the direction to where you still need some help, where you still need to focus for healing. So, setting boundaries is another one. It's much harder to do than to say, right? Set boundaries and communicate openly. And this, goes along with some of the things I've said before, but, if specific people or frequently trigger you, it might help to set a boundary and communicate your feelings. Let them know what you need to feel safe and to feel respected. It's okay to stand up for yourself and to have some self-respect by showing others that you expect to be respected and to feel safe in their presence. So it's not an easy conversation, but your mental health is worth it. So communicate these things with people. It can really actually help to strengthen your relationships also. And if you're open with people, and if they really do care about you, if they love you, they're going to be glad that you did that. They're going to be glad to know. So their reaction will be a good way to know really if the relationship is worth, continuing. So another thing, develop healthy coping strategies. So, managing triggers can sometimes mean having different ways to cope when they come up. It's not always about prevention. Prevention is good if possible, but there's not always, a lot of times they catch us off guard, right? But I have talked so many times in almost every one of these sort of self-help tip type of videos that I've done, I've talked about journaling. And it's really important. I think it's a very, very helpful. And if you're not the type of person that likes to journal, sometimes typing it out or just, writing down a couple of things from some journaling prompts, um, you know, or or just, making yourself do it for a short time to see if it helps. But journaling can be a great way to process through emotions and to also help you to understand yourself better. And that can reduce the frequency of triggers coming up, right? So also on my YouTube channel on here, I do have quite a few self-care tips, self-help, ideas and advice. There's also different guided meditations and guided visualizations. Those could be very helpful. But also, I started a new feature with holistic practitioners, with them giving, telling you what they do and explaining it for you, and then how to reach them. So some of these holistic practitioners and holistic health, treatments and, practices and methods could be very helpful if you're finding yourself having a lot of triggers or finding yourself having a hard time processing your emotions. So listen to some of those. Um, as I said, emotional triggers can really be your teachers and can be your friends, helping to point the direction where you need to work on still. So many people think, including myself, I've been, taken off guard by triggers. You know, so many people can feel like, oh, I've been through a healing journey and I've been through a big process and a time of healing, and you feel like you've worked through things and you're doing well emotionally, and then something hits and you're like, oh, dang, why did that happen? So don't beat yourself up again if that happens. And, thank the trigger. You know what I mean? You can say, oh, good. Now I know this is an area I still need to work on. So, okay, thank you for the direction and the focus and what I need to work on still, right? So, it's an opportunity for self-discovery and for growth and for inner peace and inner strength. So, yeah, so all those things, hopefully one of those was helpful and one of those things is something that was useful to you. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on this video and watching. If you've watched to the end and you liked what you heard and you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are a holistic practitioner, and would like to share what you do on this channel, please get a hold of me. My links will be in the description. Always look in the descriptions of the videos. There's always a lot more information. And I would love to talk with you and find out what you do in the holistic healing world. So thanks again, and I sure hope this has helped somebody somewhere.